Happy Homebrew Wednesday, guys. Just a little bit of an update for you. This week, I brewed a batch of beer. Not the Cooper's kit or anything like that. It's an extract kit that I actually got from my home brew store. It's an IPA, surprise, surprise. And I'll go ahead and try and post some footage of that up in a future video. This week, yesterday, last night, as a matter of fact, got my own personalized stir plate. Created that using Jake CPU Nuts videos for a little bit of instruction and help. Thanks a lot for that, Jake CPU Nut. Let's see, had a good time last weekend watching hockey players' webcast. And chit-chatting with Maxim, Clemens, Larmo, Mr. and Mrs. The Social was on there for a little while, Man Bear Pig, yeah, we were just having a great time, and that was really fun on Uvu, so looking forward to doing that again. That was really cool. Let's see. Yeah, so the kettle's going to take a break on the kettles for a bit and focus on the control panel. So spent a little bit of time working on that last week, well, over the course of the last week anyways. And things are kind of on a hiatus at the moment, just waiting for a couple parts to arrive and yeah, some miscellaneous things. So I'll show you some footage with that. Okay, so here's the control panel. I'm starting to wire it up and testing some things out. You can see I've got basically a cable underneath the table that's plugged into the wall socket and very unsecurely just sort of supplying power to this relay here. This blue cable over here is pretty much nothing. It's what will eventually go to the actual power supply coming in. This white cable here is just really just a mock-up for right now. Okay, so if we get right down to it and we take a look, so we've got the blue line coming in on the right, that's the neutral, and the brown coming in on the left is the power, it's the hot wire. Coming off on this relay, there's a magnet inside, just inside here, and I've got on the right hand side, this cable is attached to the main power coming in, and then it goes to this switch. This will eventually be the key switch, but obviously I haven't got that yet. Still waiting on for that shipment to arrive. And then on the other side of it, of course, I'm connected to the normally open switch. On the inside is the NO, and then the return comes in over here on this side of the relay, and then when I complete the circuit by turning on the switch, I'll do that right now, you'll see the relay actually turn on. There. So I turned the switch on, the relay collapsed, and then now it's applying power over here to the rest of these components. I'll shut it off for now while I'm explaining. So we've got the black wire here for the hot wire coming over to the 50 amp shunt. Then it's coming over here to the right side, passing over this measurement shunt, whatever you want to call it. And then the red cable is a 7 amp fuse coming in up here onto the hot power supply. And then I've got a cable coming over here connecting to this cable, which basically comes over to the green light. I've got the neutral, or the return, coming over here to the return supply. So how does that kind of complete the circuit? Well, the blue coming in, there's two supplies over here, and then one of them is actually usually only active at this time, and it's basically supplying the completes the circuit over here. The other one I assume is going to be used at a different time. It's an adaptation from the 120 plans. So, and because I'm working on 220, the 110 versus 220, it's got slight variations. So I haven't actually deemed whether that actually is going to be useful or not. Maybe we can use it for something else. So there you have it. Alright, so when I turn the switch on, turn the switch, completes the circuit. Now we've got electricity come over here, and it lights up the green light. I turn it off, shuts the lights off. Turn it on, turns the light on. Great. So I think that's a pretty good start. There it is. I'll continue to share more as time goes on. Okay, so I couldn't wait any longer. So here's the front of the control panel. I kind of started to sand it off. But you can see I kind of left the rest of the box the natural color that it comes in. So I started to wire some things up, and at this point we've got some power. So you can see I sort of stole the switch, and I'm using that for the power switch temporarily until the key switch gets here. But yeah, like I said in my last video, I'm working through it. But if we turn it on, you can see how we now get power, and I've also got the amp meter hooked up. I had the voltmeter hooked up first, and it was working, but I think I accidentally cranked up the voltage a little bit too much. It's either that, or it's because it's not actually connected to any sort of circuit internally. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Yeah, it was working. But yeah, so let's just kind of open this up, take a look. It's going to be a bit of a shaky camera, and I apologize for that, but I assume you kind of want to see how it all works. So I've rigged up some basic power here coming in. I've got the ground going up over there. So brown in this case is hot, and then the blue is neutral. So I've got okay, so let's try this again. Coming in here, we've got a hot wire and a neutral wire coming in on 240. The ground is connected up here to the wall and also connected to the door. Right. Now the idea here is that this hot wire, is going to be connected to the switch. So if we follow that up, it's going to actually hit one side of the switch. And then once we turn the switch, it closes the connection, and then the return comes down on this other one, which then turns on, or basically completes the circuit, and then activates the magnet, which then closes the connectors here, and then it completes the connection to the cable, the black one that goes up to the 50 amp shunt. Once that's completed, it'll go across the wire, hit this red cable, which actually is a 7 amp fuse, activates the active, or the hot bus, and then that there's a black cable there, comes over to the end, and then that activates this black cable, which actually goes to the light. The other side of the light returns the blue one, that's the one that comes down here, and then goes back onto the neutral bus, which then falls back out here and completes the circuit. So that's basically really just how we're getting the power from turning on the switch and then actually getting the green light. So that's all that's happening to get that to work. In order to get the volt and the amp meters working, there's a little bit more that's involved. So once the power circuit is complete, the green light comes on. That basically gives power to both the buses. And you can see here I'm kind of shuffling power along to accessible, or basically to other accessors, to make power available to other consumers. And then some of those consumers, or the main two consumers I have right now, are these guys. So these, if we can kind of highlight in there, you can see they're 220 to 12 volt converters, or two, yeah. And then these are supplying power to these guys, which are acting as basically power supplies to the amp and the voltmeter. So that's all that they're doing. The power from both of those are coming in here, positive and then negative. That's basically on the output of those. What they do is these little guys over here, once we feed these power on one side, this is AC, they put out DC, and then I can turn these little switches here on this blue box, and have both of them here, in order to variate the DC out. And basically what we're trying to do is set them so we're outputting about 5 DC volts to each one of these guys. So we got the positive, negative side for the voltmeter. This is the amp meter, and then the positive, negative for the voltmeter. Now it's the other sides of these that actually, once we supply power, we've got two inlets here, and this one is for the amps. And then these two cables, one of them is coming down here, one of them is going to this side of the 50 amp shunt, and then the other one is going to this side. And then in between this shunt is a thin layer, basically of metal, which the differentiation between the two can tell the amps currently being consumed between the buses. Not between the buses, but yeah, currently amps being consumed. And then for the volts, let's see, up over here we've got two ins which allow it to read the volt usage. One of those ends is coming down here to these, will be the boil kettles relay switch, and I think this is currently why it's not being used, is because it has no completed circuit. But and then the other end of it goes up here, which is this guy, onto the hot bus. So that's where the two volt ins go to. One is going to the hot bus, the other one is going to the kind of like the output on the boil relay switch. So that's how I've got it all hooked up so far. That's pretty much completes the whole overview of this sort of where I am right now at this stage. And the next stage will be to start hooking up some of the switches and the PIDs, and I guess the wiring at that point is only going to get more complicated, but I'll do my best to explain how that's hooked up in the next video. Hey guys, again, so that's where I'm at. I'm still nowhere near finished. Still tons of things to do. I still have yet to drill the holes in the bottom of the control panel, so I'm still going to have to take all that stuff out again one more time to make those holes for all of the power cables, for the pumps, for the main power, for the temperature controls, things like that. So it's going to be a while. You saw that I sort of sanded down and got off all the paint on the front panel. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep it like that or actually paint the entire thing like a dark blue, maybe go back to navy gray. Yeah, the buttons certainly fit that sort of genre. So yeah, that's where I'm at. A little bit of progress, but yeah, it's taking some time. So, drinking Yeti Imperial Stout. Cheers to you.
17, take care.